So we just changed out the alternator. It's tucked right up against the driver and passenger seats. We couldn't get the camera in there at all. So I'll just show you another quick clip of what that looks like. So the alternator is right down here. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna bleed the brakes. We had all the brake lines off. We had all the clutch lines off. So we are going to add fluid into this brake fluid reservoir. We are gonna pump the brake pedal, putting some pressure in the system. Then Kelly will come over here and he is going to release this brake bleed valve. It just looks like that. He'll turn that. The pedal will fall down to the ground. He'll close it, and then I'll pump the brake pedal 3 more times. We'll do that a few times. We'll have to add fluid to the reservoir, and then we'll just continue to do that until there's no more air in the lines. Air in the lines can cause like spongy brakes. No matter how hard you apply the brake pedal, if there's air in the lines, it just won't put enough pressure on the brake calipers and the brake pads. Okay, so now Kelly's in the back. He's got that bottle and the wrench to open the bleed valve. I'm gonna go ahead and pump the brakes 3 times, and then I'm gonna hold pressure, and you'll be able to see when Kelly opens that valve and we push some air through the line. All right, Kel. Okay, it's closed. So now he closed it again, so I'm gonna pump the pedal 3 more times. So when I push it down to here, I'm pushing pretty hard on it. Now Kelly's gonna open, and you can just see my foot push that fluid through, pushing the air out. Okay, closed. So now Kelly's just gonna come back up front and check the fluid in the reservoir. If we run out of the fluid in the reservoir, then we introduce air back into the system, and we have to do this all again. So while we're bleeding them, you have to keep the reservoir full. So he's just filling that reservoir back up now. Okay, so what we usually like to do on these is just apply air pressure and push the fluid through the reservoir into the brakes or the clutch, whatever we're doing. On this last one, we weren't able to do that because this tube runs directly over the reservoir. So on this one, it's gonna be a little more standard, or like we usually do it, and we're just gonna apply some pressure to it and push that fluid through. Okay, so now we just decided to move to the front brakes. We looked in there, the brake fluid just looked old, nasty, so we're changing it out too. So just like the rear, just like the clutch, we are pressurizing that with air, and we're sending all that fluid down to Kelly.
Yeah, so he's putting pressure at the reservoir, which is going to push that fluid through the line into the caliper, and then this is the bleeder valve that I'm going to release, and then it's going to go through this clear hose. We'll watch here for air bubbles. Hopefully there's no air bubbles. We're really trying to get the old fluid out, so we get the new fluid in. So we're pushing all the old out, and it's slowly filling up this this little reservoir here. So
we were hoping to have our Desert Theory name here and then our names up on the driver door. We didn't get those this week, so that's going to be next week. So what Kelly's working on right now is shift linkage, which is probably more important anyway. So Kelly has this.
Yep, so we have a new bolt, a new nut. I cut the old nut off that was stripped out. So we're gonna weld the new nut on, and then we'll have new material. Then it'll thread in, tighten up, and we'll be able to shift the car again without some crazy vice grips that we were using before.
All right, so Kelly got that all welded up. It looks good. As soon as that cools off a little bit, we'll get that stuck back in the car. Okay, so just kind of getting the shift linkage back in here now. Looks pretty good. Kelly's taking the last nut that was on that and just drilling a hole through it so we can safety wire it, just like this one up here. So we can tighten it, have a jam nut, and then safety wire on it to where it can't back off. Okay, so like I said, Kelly's over here. He's just drilling that bolt. Oh, there we go.
Yapper.
Okay, we're gonna fire it up. We're gonna make sure it goes through the gears. We have the shift linkage all kind of temped in there right now, and we're just gonna make sure it works.
There you go. Good.
All right, you ready?
Clear.
not too far into your leg either. It's farther towards the passenger going in the third than it is for first.
Oh,
so
good.
that's good.
Good. Okay, let's get this stuff buttoned up. And what's going to be next on the list?
All right, Kelly's back here. He's doing a bunch of the safety wire. We have to do the calipers, all the shift linkage, and then we also have a bunch of bolts that we haven't just checked for tight. So we're gonna go ahead and do that on all the rear arms, shocks, limit straps, and we're just gonna kind of go through that real quick. Okay, during that time lapse, we cleaned up a bunch of stuff. Lots of wires cleaned up, lots of hoses just kind of protected, just nuts and bolts tightened, trailing arms tightened, got a bunch of that work done. Kelly's working on the O2 sensor right now. So this isn't gonna be a permanent fix. It's gonna be kind of a temporary one more time. We're going to the desert. So.
Yeah, so we're just butt splicing these wires and putting some heat shrink on them. It's supposed to have a connector, like a 4-plug, that you could actually be able to change the O2 sensor quickly. You could just unplug it. This one came with some butt splices that were kind of shaky. We had one of them come loose, so we're just redoing that. Adhesive heat shrink, so it'll seal and hold everything together really good. And we'll be going for now.
So something a lot of you probably don't even remember at this point, before we went to the desert the first time with this car, the fire extinguisher mounts were horrible. So we built a bracket and had it all installed, but we didn't have any kind of a pull cord on it. So we had a zip tie. Finally, after how many months, this came in and we have a normal pull ring. So just a little safety feature. So when we get a little bit more time, we're gonna do the same thing to this fire extinguisher. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm gonna charge these shocks. So we're gonna take this to 150. We think that's right. It's actually not marked on here, so somebody might tell us if we're wrong on the comments here, but here we go. Just gonna put this on, you run it down. Okay, we're tight on that. We're gonna bring it up to 150 pounds on this gauge. Got 150 pounds. Okay, stop charging, stop throwing nitrogen in. Gonna come back off on that, turn off our bottle, and now just take that off. We are getting close. The 18th is the date. We have to have this car ready to go by the 18th. We're gonna see it out in the desert again. So it's only a couple more episodes of us cleaning this thing up in the shop, and we get to see it running in the desert. Just couldn't be more excited. Thanks for watching.